All right, we have a quorum. We'll call the board meeting to order. The clerk will note all supervisors are present, in addition to the clerk administrator, the treasurer, and office assistant. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. If you wouldn't mind, if you have a cell phone, turning it off or putting it on vibrate so as not to interrupt the meeting. And a reminder to the, yes, reminder to the board to speak into the microphones. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we need to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Hugh. All right. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. We have a series of minutes that we need to approve. The first group would be the October 15th board meeting.
Could we just take them all at once, sir?
Well, we don't know if somebody may have something they want to add to it, so. I'll make a motion to approve the Wednesday, October 15th board as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Forkert. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Then we have the special board meeting of Thursday, October 23rd.
I'll move to approve the minutes of October 23rd, 2014.
I'll second. Motion by Gause, seconded by Lowry. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Going on, we have the special board meeting of Tuesday, October 28th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Gause, seconded by Forkert. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Then we have the special meeting of November 5th. I'll move their approval as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Mulligan. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We made it. Motion carried. Okay.
Special board with finance on the 5th.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Special board of, well, that was the 15th, the 11-5 board, I believe. That's a double up on that one.
Oh, okay.
Treasurer's report, Janet?
Okay, in the municipal checking account, we began with a balance of $199,518.99.
Can we go back to that November 5th?
Right.
What just happened?
Oh, I think that's a double up.
No, there was two. There was a board with finance, 6:35, and special board at 5:30.
Oh, that's, okay. All right, we need to do then the special board at 5:30.
I move that we approve the minutes of 11-5, special board with finance committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Gause. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Now, Janet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We began with the municipal checking account with $199,518.99. We received our transportation aid transferred to our checking account. There was a typographical error in August of 20 cents.
Uh-oh.
And we brought that balance to $28,242.90. Money market account, we began with a balance of $207,185.75. After interest, the balance in that account is $207,220.94. In the checking account, we began with a balance of $115,602.06. transfers, less sales tax, FICA, state withholding, payroll and disbursements. We have a balance in that account of $347,407.20. The utility district has $253,470.12. The North Shore Money Market account has been closed out and transferred to the checking, bringing a balance at the end of October in all town accounts of $836,341.16.
Any questions anybody has?
I'll move to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Payment of bills. The sheet on the desk is the one we're going to work off of. Are there any questions on any of those bills? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented. Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion, anybody? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion is carried. Public input is next. Before we get to that, I had an email from Mike Schneider of The Clearing, sending me some pages over from a book that Sid Telfer had written called The Jensen I Knew. And chapter 12 is Door County Parks, and I'd just like to read the introduction if I might. It's rather interesting. Door County has been known for many years as one of the outstanding beauty spots of the United States and a place where visitors have always been welcomed. Natural beauty, prominent headlands, sand beaches, sheltered harbors, evergreen and hardwood trees have been here for ages. People, the natives, have invited visitors to enjoy the area. Parks, swimming, beaches, and playgrounds have been provided generously. My thought on that was, we tend to, I'm going to use this terrible pun, but we tend to not see the forest because of the trees. I think we live in a very special part, and the clearing, to me, is a real diamond for us. And I think very often taken more for granted, and that's kind of unfortunate. But that's just my personal opinion, so. Okay, this is an opportunity for anybody to address the board on any given subject, and also if they want to speak to any of the agendized items. Are there any general comments? Yeah, please state your name and.
Ann Miller, 2604 Grove Road. As chairman of the Door County Coastal Byway, I was just wondering whatever happened with the stonework thing, because it was approved, I think, in April of 2013. And then there was supposedly some contact between Malian and the town office this summer, but nothing ever happened. And it was approved 5-0 by the board.
The stonework was approved.
Yep.
I did get a hold of Mr. Malian,
Larry, yeah.
and he told me he would call back when he was down with his work and he had time to do it. He never called back.
Okay.
And in the meantime, there has been some discussion about doing our own stonework, similar to the one that's at, on the hill.
The
Grindberg?
yeah, the Historical Society,
Right.
yeah. Oh, okay.
So, but, now there's nothing that can be done about
Well,
it. He
yeah.
never got back to me either.
Okay.
So,
All right. Okay, so the town crew then would be able to do it themselves? Well, that's cool. That would save even more money.
town stone and,
All right,
yeah.
yeah, if they need
And I think
rocks,
that one looks kinda cool.
yeah, or if they need rocks down by me, I volunteered rocks if they wanna use field rocks. So,
I think we could all volunteer rocks.
fact, we'll pay you to take them.
Don, do you want to?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Don City, 8480 East Ridgeville Drive, Bailey's Harbor. Town Chairman of Bailey's Harbor, County Board Supervisor, District 19, which encompasses part of Liberty Grove and Bailey's Harbor. First, I'd like to see Hugh is back on the job, and it's good to see him here. Secondly, I just want to state what committees I got elected to or appointed to. I'm on the Resource Planning Committee. I'm on the Law Enforcement Committee. I'm on the CATS Committee, which is the Communication Advisory Technical Subcommittee. I'm on the Agricultural and Extension Committee, and I'm on the Resource Planning Committee. I think I got them all 5 there. And Information Services Committee as well. If anybody wants to contact me, I'm on the website, Town of Bailey's Harbor. I got my email there, I got my address there, I got my telephone number there. For those of you who would like to have it right now, my telephone number is 920-421-0481. And my email address is Y as in Yankee, N as in Nancy, the number 3, the word water, @live.com. So I just wanted to state that for the record. Thank you.
Did I hear you on the airport parks and properties?
No,
No.
Unfortunate, because we would have a favor to ask of you.
okay.
I don't know if you're aware of the board's stance on the cutting of the ash trees in the Door Bluff Headlands County Park.
And what is that?
We're against it,
You're against it?
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you should just
Go ahead.
go ahead. It's a county park, Donnie, but Door County, it's in Liberty Grove, and the current DNR plan is to go in there and take out all the ash trees, starting not this winter, but the following winter.
Okay.
And they're gonna take, I believe, a third. And so, it's a general feeling among most of the people at Liberty Grove, just to let the ash trees die. I mean, they got emerald ash borer, just let them die. And, not go in there and clear the trees out. You know, they say there's money gonna come from the trees, but as a proportion of the county budget, which is about, what, $74 million this year? Whatever that, it's incomprehensible, it's small, but
Yeah.
percent.
Yeah.
And just in my own feeling, if there were trees that were in the way and causing health problems or danger, if they cut those trees down, let them beside the road, the wood would be gone in 2 days
Oh, yeah.
from people's fireplaces, you know, and so it's the board's, I don't know if we ever take an official position. We have taken
Yeah, we
official.
Have you sent
We
that
don't want to
on?
have the trees
Yes.
cut.
Have you sent that on as well?
It was given to the Airport and Parks Committee at their,
Last
November?
meeting.
Yeah, their last meeting.
Okay. Did you get a response?
Yeah, no.
Really.
No?
Well, it wasn't, technically, it wasn't on the agenda, or, no, it was on the agenda.
That was.
Yeah.
That letter was requesting that the town be kept in the loop with all the activities of the airport and parks.
And you have not received any response so far?
I handed in a copy of the minutes and the motions that was made and the resolution that was passed to the chairman of the, Mr. Burley. So that, and subsequently at the last board meeting, the town did pass the resolution in opposition to the cutting.
I will contact Mr. Burley,
Well,
and I'm sure he'll get back to you.
I called Biz, and actually I called everyone on the committee,
Oh, you did?
yeah, and asked them to consider changing their mind, and it was to no avail.
But formally, they never sent you a letter back or anything to the whole board?
Well, I don't know the letters due, frankly.
I think that if you sent a letter to them, they should respond in some manner or form. That's my feeling. It's just appropriate as far as I'm concerned.
And Don, we, as a town, have an economic interest in in the road that leads up to that park, which was just paved within the last 3 months. And the idea of logging trucks, even if in the dead of winter, if it's frozen down, we're concerned about doing much more damage unnecessarily to that road, having just been paved. So there is an economic interest, in addition to the fact that, as Hugh suggested, I think it's about as unanimous among the citizens of Liberty Grove as anything I've ever experienced, in terms of wanting to preserve as many of those trees as possible, simply because the ash trees do make up a large portion of the
40%.
40% of the trees in that, and just going in and harvesting those would probably, there'll be collateral damage, as the term goes, for a lot of other trees as well.
The soil's only about that deep there, Don.
Oh,
And we
is it?
turned down, from the county board on the RPC, we turned down a horse trail through there, simply because the soils were so shallow.
Do you think, I shouldn't speak for Biz, but do you think that somebody from the committee would be willing to come here and explain their view in detail?
One of the things that we had asked as a board was to be kept in the loop and be part of the dialogue, and that hasn't happened. And besides the things that have already been mentioned, Don, that is pristine Niagara escarpment land, for
Yeah.
one thing. And secondly, I just recently became aware that there is a, Lou talked about an economic interest in the road. There's also, Liberty Grove competes not so well with, Fish Creek, Sister Bay, Bailey's Harbor, as far as tourism dollars and destination. And this is a draw for us. And one of the things that's going on in the park that I just became aware of is geocaching, where little treasures, if you will, are hidden. And Door Bluff Headlands Park is one of the hiding places. And it would really impact people coming to look for those, they see them online and stuff. If all that's there is stumps.
Stumps?
It makes a difference. And as you know, I come from a logging family, and we've been told by the Airports and Parks Committee that they were advised that those logging trucks, fully laden, had no more impact on a new road than a school bus. I beg to differ. I think they need to ask another expert on that. That road is paved with blood, sweat, and tears, and asphalt. And to jeopardize that, I really think we need to be heard, and I don't feel like we are.
Okay. I promise you I will look into it and see what I can do and see if we get back some manner, shape, or form, okay?
Thank you.
I think Gunlickson would be your best bet,
Yeah.
and Dick Haynes. Dick Haynes was the one, sort of showed a little interest into it, and Dick, and Gunlickson's actually has part of this territory up here, it's his district, because he has Washington Island and the northern part.
Yeah, is that his, part of his district?
Oh, yeah.
The area you're
Liberty
talking about?
Grove,
Yes.
The northern part.
Especially the northern part.
Okay. Well, you got David Lenio, who's part of Liberty Grove as well, and you got Gunlickson, and you got myself, so you got 3 supervisors representing Liberty Grove.
We would love to have a joint meeting where we could actually discuss this with, county members that are dealing with this.
At least the
We would
Parks-
like to be heard as a
At least the
board.
Parks Committee, anyway.
Yeah. We're certainly being talked to by our community.
Okay. Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time. I'm sorry it was over a minute, Mr.
Oh, that's
Chair.
all right. Thank you. Anybody else, general comments, please?
I do, John. I don't know if it's appropriate. I, as a citizen, am disturbed by what I think consider as a nuisance at 12036 Garrett Bay Road. There are abandoned refrigerators and freezers on the lawn, kitchen sinks, literally, and a lot of other debris there. It's the White House right next to the site, just south of the Cider House,
Oh, yes.
on the
Okay.
north side
Yep.
of that road there.
Yep.
The Clinky House.
Is that Clinky?
Simple on us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if that's something that we bring up as a town board on an agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
The past policy has been to do that only upon receipt of written comments,
Oh, okay.
written complaints.
An email would do?
Pardon?
Would an email do?
No, put 40 cents on it.
Okay, anybody else on the board? Anybody else, general comments, please? Okay, anybody on an agendized item, please? Dave?
Mary, Pat is identified on number 8. I have a couple of things to say as well.
Okay. Anybody else on any item? All right, if not, we'll go on to number 8. Mary Pat?
Okay, you should have today received something in your mailbox from the survey.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And thanks, Dave, for doing that. And I'd like to, if you could pass this down. This is just a summary of what I'll be talking about tonight. Okay, what I've been working on over the last many months is the Phase 1 of the study for the Northern Door Culinary Center. And the highlights of that first phase were to assess the interest and needs in Liberty Grove for a culinary center. Sometimes it's referred to as a culinary kitchen, or sometimes the food manufacturing or food processing facility. Very early in our work on this project, we titled it the Northern Door Culinary Center because it would incorporate a broader possibility for culinary programs and other aspects that are part of most of the other culinary or shared use food manufacturing centers in the state. The other thing that I was challenged to do was to do a site evaluation of existing or possible sites within the town for the location of a center. And then also to define the facility itself, the equipment and staffing, and then to compare and existing Northeast Wisconsin facilities. And so I've been able to accomplish all of that with the help of a very dedicated committee, Dave and Karen Studebaker and Joanne Penny, and Lou has also served on that committee. Joanne, fortunately for us, is an experienced food manufacturer. She's worked at out of a number of the facilities in this area, and so she was able to bring a lot to the table. And then I was really very fortunate to have Dave and Karen on this committee because they were able to crunch the survey results and pull those components together. And then Lou, being affiliated with the board and also recently with some aspects of culinary tourism through the Cider House. So we all were able to bring something to the committee. And when I set out to work with the committee, I really thought that I would be having to do a lot more work than what I'm doing, but they were really able to step up and take a number of the tasks off of me. So that has helped immensely. What we did with the assessment of interest and needs is the survey that was mailed out. It was also an online survey, and that's what you should have received in the box today is the results of that survey. And there, I believe that is the one, Dave, that has the confidential information on it, and that most of that detail has not been released. The names and addresses and that have not been released to the public at this time. And they were meant for board review. We were able to glean a fair amount of information. There's, as you can see on the summary sheet on the top, and Dave's going to talk to this a little bit. We tried to graph this out, so it was a little bit easier to review, and took a look at, some real critical steps that would indicate whether this project should move forward as far as even a study is concerned, or that there just wasn't enough interest. And when I look at the numbers of the survey results that were returned, I was very satisfied with that number. And in other communities that we've done similar number of mailings, we have not always received such a high response. It doesn't seem like, when you look at the initial number, but it really is pretty, usually pretty responsive to what the feelings are. And I'm going to let Dave go through some of those things in a minute, so I'll let you ask questions on that a little bit later. And what I wanted to talk about also was just basically the site evaluations. I was able to, there were 4 sites initially identified that I would take a look at. One of them was the existing kitchen here, and in the town hall right here. And then the other one that I looked at was the new fire station. And then I did visit the old fire station adjacent to the post office, and the Silly Goose property. And those 4 were the only ones that I visited at this point, until about a few weeks ago. I also went to the Voyager Motel. I had a request from the owner of that property in Sister Bay to take a look at that. And I reached out to the committee, and they felt it was probably worth taking a look at, so I did visit that site. And the last site that I haven't been to that was recently suggested and by the committee was the Pastavino location, Hillside location. And so that is one that I haven't had a chance to visit yet. From those initial site visits, and I didn't have an architect and I didn't have a contractor with me at that point, but I just judging from the walkthrough that I did and the other criteria that I'm familiar with from the Department of Ag, I could rule out the old fire station property. It really would be very challenging to try to renovate that. It would be basically starting from scratch. It just needs a lot of work. And the new fire station, I thought, could be a possibility, but it would need to have, in the next phase, if you decide to take a look at that. And I also thought that the Silly Goose probably had some challenges, but the location was very, very good. The hotel property, the Voyager Hotel, really did not meet the criteria and would take a lot of renovation, and it lacked a lot of parking. It just didn't have that parking space. So in addition to that, I've requested the Department of Ag to send an inspector to look at the 2 sites or the 3 sites that we could narrow this down to. She isn't available until possibly next week. And at this point, the Department of Ag isn't really normally doing pre-site visits. They usually will step in once you've identified a site, and we'll take a look at the criteria, but evidently she'll be up in this area visiting some businesses, and I hope to be able to get her into this kitchen and the fire station and have her look at that. So that will be included in the final report. And what I based my site visit criteria on is the Department of Ag standards for facility, food processing and food handling facilities. And there's some pretty specific requirements, but taking a look at this kitchen here, it meets quite a few of those conditions. It isn't the most convenient for food processing, but it certainly meets a lot of the basic conditions. So that I'll be able to fill you in a little bit more once the inspector is here. And I tried to talk to her about what architectural conditions would need to be met too. So once she's here, if that is the case that she wants a little bit more information, I might have to get some renderings or drawings or some information on the fire station and this kitchen. Okay, the other thing that I did was take a look at defining based somewhat on the survey responses and somewhat on the general businesses that are already, food businesses that are already functioning up here, and tried to define what types of basic equipment would facilitate a basic startup without having to go overboard or to put in equipment that really isn't essential. And the other thing I've looked at is what type of staffing would be needed to facilitate this type of thing, project. And I did that by contacting a number of the other shared use facilities in Wisconsin, and I'm affiliated with all of them through a site that UW Extension facilitates, and it's called Food Bin. And it, over the last 8 months, I have toured 15 of those facilities, and several of them I have been contracted to help them develop policies and procedures and operating standards for those projects. And I'll be sharing that with you also, that information on, as I did this. There's 2 existing facilities in Door County, or no, excuse me. There's one in Door County, Northeast Wisconsin Technical College. And I am the technical support for that project. They partner with the Living Lakes Heritage, which is the nonprofit group that oversees the Farm Market Kitchen Incubator in Algoma. And and I'm the manager of that facility also. And so both of those facilities have been available to Door County clients. And I took a look at the clients that we've had that have driven from sometimes Washington Island down to Door County. And Joanne, as I said, fortunately for us, she's on this committee. She's started at the Farm Market Kitchen. She transferred to the NWTC site, and then she returned to the Farm Market Kitchen site. And it's approximately, I would guess, an hour drive for her each way. And the challenge with the NWTC site till this point has been that trying to fit into their operational schedule and tried to fit in around their class schedule. And then also the basic layout of the kitchen was set up for classroom use and not necessarily food production use. So I have had some discussion with NWTC in Green Bay, Sally Martin, who's the regional coordinator for a number of the campuses, outreach campuses. And she is also involved with the Florence Culinary Kitchen up in Aurora, near the Michigan border. And I was contracted to help them develop that project. And she's also the outreach coordinator for the Sturgeon Bay campus. And there has been some discussion recently on possibly removing that equipment from that site. I contacted Sam Perlman and Bill Choudoir, and I've had a sit-down meeting with the NWTC administrators trying to see if we couldn't try to retain that equipment and that facility in Door County. I think it's a very significant resource, and I think it's with the surge in local foods and the use by nonprofits and others, I think it's something that I will try to still encourage them to retain, because even if there was a smaller facility up here that could feed into that as a business grew, it would warrant driving an hour or 45 minutes to that location. And I just think it's a valuable resource that really needs to stay in Door County. And so if you'd like to discuss that a little further at some point.
There's an existing facility at Perlman's right now?
Not at Perlman's, no, at the NWTC campus.
Oh, I knew that.
Mhm.
But what equipment were you talking about leaving, or?
NWTC is possibly considering removing that kitchen.
You know, every time I go there, it's not used.
It has been very, I was an instructor at NWTC for 8 years. I taught the alternative program, high school program for Door County there. And it has definitely been underutilized, but in the recent years, with the surge in local foods, and even the hospital has been really contributing resources to that. For the Loaves and Fishes uses it, I know the Extension uses it for the training for adults with disabilities. And we do have some clients of ours that are using it. And so it is getting more use than it did when it was being used as a classroom. They hosted the Door County Buy Local monthly event there, I think 2 weeks ago. And it was, I think some people were really amazed to realize that that facility was there, that it existed. I encouraged them for years and years to please do something with that because it was such a huge investment, and it should be put to use. And I don't think that it can replace what we're trying to look at with the economic study right here, because I understand when I'm doing this, that we're looking at trying to retain jobs in the town of Liberty Grove. We're trying to encourage year-round employment. We're trying to do things that will keep our residents of Liberty Grove in Liberty Grove and not be sending them to Algoma or to Sturgeon Bay. And not that they won't do that, but it is quite a challenge for them to that whole distance of driving and not being in their own community. And looking at the potential of putting something smaller up here and using it as a catalyst to get them started. The goal of an incubator project is to get somebody started and then to push them out of the nest at some point within 2 years or so at the most, and get them into their own facility. I can look at Door County clients that I've worked with. The Stottses, for example, Margie and Debbie Stotts have a maple syrup business, and they worked at the Algoma kitchen for 2 years. Then they relocated to the NWTC kitchen, and they lasted about a year there, and they came back to the Algoma kitchen. And the Algoma kitchen is very, very tiny compared to the Sturgeon Bay one. But even for them, that was a drive. And now they've graduated, and they have a facility on their own property. And they continue to stay connected. So that's what I was looking at when I looked at the existing facilities. There are two opportunities here, but I don't think they really meet the what the Economic Committee was looking at when they tried to find something that would be a good fit for Northern Door, and that would fit into the culinary tourism component and to the culinary industry that really is beginning to really emerge quite colorfully up in Liberty Grove, and especially in the northern end. There are, just so you know, that there are two other ones out there. And I did, that wasn't in the other thing that I did that really wasn't part of phase one, but I wanted to initiate was a discussion with a number of potential partners. And I don't know if somebody got my cheat sheet, here it is. So far I've had meetings, of course, like as I said, with NWTC, both locally with Cheryl Tiemann and then with Sally Martin, and briefly with the associate dean and on the Green Bay campus. And they're very interested in supporting this program. They actually, NWTC is a formal partner in the Green Bay Kitchen, which I also manage at NEW Curative. And we have a memorandum of understanding with NWTC, with NEW Curative that owns the building, with the Green Bay Chamber Advanced Program, which is their business incubation program, and with Living Lakes Heritage, which is the nonprofit that runs the Farm Market Kitchen. And all four of those have signed a memorandum of understanding to share the expenses and share the costs and the income that comes in. And that relationship has worked really well for the last 3 years. The other contacts that I've been working with is UW Extension Madison. They are the ones that house the food science department that is critical to assisting with the technical development of businesses and that are developing food-related products. whether it's somebody, somebody from, you know, a big manufacturer up here of foods, if we were looking, probably the Sequis have worked with Barb Ingham from that department. I've worked with them as a cherry grower. I believe Joanne's worked with them. So that's a really critical relationship to build. And they are the ones that are managing the site, the food bin site that houses the videos that I did, because when I visited these 15 kitchens this last winter, there's 6-minute videos on a number of other kitchens that are functioning out there. And some are nonprofits, some are private, and some are university supported, and some are community government supported. So there's a nice mix of videos for you to take a look at. I also have contacted, of course, Steve, Bill Choudoir, and Sam Perlman, and because I know that Sam had done a study, I believe with UW Extension, a business survey a couple of years ago for the town, and he's very interested in trying to see if there's some way to merge those two, the results of this project and the survey that he did. And I don't have the exact date that was done, but I believe that was about 2 years ago. And then the Wisconsin Business Incubation Association has also reached out and offered business support and technical assistance and mentoring through workshops and training. And that would be a good partnership to have also. And then locally, just reaching out to even, I see somebody's here from, I never get this, Door County North? I got that right. And trying to do something that ties the current business in, because one of the things that I was looking at is not just to create new businesses, but to retain your existing businesses and to enhance the opportunities they have. And when I look at some of the other centers that I surveyed to see how they generate sustaining income for their projects, a number of them are really focusing in on the culinary tourism aspect. It works for some locations, it doesn't work for others. But from what I've seen of the opportunities that many of your local businesses are already pursuing, they definitely fall into that culinary tourism, a cluster development project. Let me see, what else can I talk about? I will be giving you the final report, written report on this by the first week of December. I want to take that one more site visit, and I want to include the report from the Department of Ag Inspector. And we have an event that's coming up. We had a prelude to it last night. We had a meet, eat, and greet committee meeting last night, and we had contacted a few people on the from the survey that indicated they wouldn't be available after a certain date. And we did have a few people that showed up last night, and it was really very interesting. I know one of them, and I guess Annie was there last night too. And there was a lodging owner that was there, and there was a young adult, I believe she's like close to 25 to 30, and she was there, and then another business owner that's a tech-based business in Liberty Grove here. And ironically, the lodging person that was there isn't able to be here at the meeting tonight, and she would like to be, because she is traveling today down to the Madison Shared Use Kitchen because she's considering developing a food product. And so she had heard about that kitchen and was going down to tour that kitchen today and see if she could develop a food-related project that she could incorporate into the lodging packages that she offers at her site. And I think I'll let Dave, if he would like to speak to the numbers on the survey a little bit, and then I'll take questions if you have some.
Hi, I'm David Studebaker, 11823 Timberline Road. And my spouse and partner, Karen, and I put together the data, the raw data. And I'm the one that did the graphs, so if you find any errors in the graphs, they're mine. and we'll correct them. Please point them out. I found some last night when I was putting this together, so. I really just want to, well, first, Mary Pat mentioned names and addresses and confidential information. The copy you have may not have that, because I don't recall which copy I sent over to Janet. Okay, it does not. I will send the copy that has all the detailed information. We had stripped the confidential information off for some of the sharing that we were doing earlier, considering the names and addresses confidential. I just wanted to point out 3 or 4 things that I observed in looking at the data here that I thought were particularly significant. In the first, by the way, the term NR stands for no response. I was just trying to get it to fit on the graphs. Of the 77 responses that we got, 17 of the people are already involved in food processing in some way. And that in and of itself is a significant portion in terms of the people that responded to the survey. The second thing that I wanted to point out is that 22 of the 77 said they would be interested in utilizing a shared use facility. Now, you know, if you're in any business situation, you'd consider those prospects, and you're not going to get all of the prospects. But even if you got 4 or 5 of those people on an initial setup, you would have a significant number of people, small businesses involved in a startup. That's over 28% of our respondents said that they would be interested, which is the bold print over at the right. The other things I think are fairly self-explanatory. These charts and the numbers are also, they are replicated in their proper spreadsheet place elsewhere in this document, but I brought them to the front to make them a little easier to see. So if you spot any problems in the charts or anything, let Karen or myself know. We'll get those corrected. But I think the numbers speak for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And thanks for pulling that all together. One of the other things that I have been doing is trying to look at opportunities for sustaining a project and initiating one. And of course, I've started exploring the opportunities of potential grants. And there are some out there through the USDA right now, the Rural Business Enterprise Grants for facility and equipment. Some of the operating dollars are a little bit harder to come by, but there are a few of those out there right now, also through some of the State Department of Ag Buy Local programs, and more so from the USDA Rural Development programs. They've just had a series of grant workshops, and I don't know if they had invited board members from the towns in Wisconsin to participate in those sessions, but they usually do that once a year. And I have a summary sheet that they're going to be sending me on all of those available grants. And I don't know if anybody from the board was able to attend one of those. So I'll include that in my final report, the funding options through granting. I've also started to look at the foundations in Wisconsin, opportunities from the foundations that are either located in Door County or that have substantial relationships in Door County. Some of them might have summer homes or have some type of business relationship. And so that's a different type of funding opportunity. And when I contacted these other kitchens that I surveyed, I asked them where they were raising their dollars and how they were generating operating dollars, more so than the initial startup. So what the report will include when I'm done is the initial background on this whole study, why we're taking a look at this and how it was initiated. And then I'll look at some of the demographics on this particular section of Door County and try to identify some critical factors that might be leveraged at some point for funding opportunities, and also that can be analyzed to see if they would be appropriate to involve in some sort of cluster development plan. around culinary tourism or experiences that are, seem to be emerging in this area. I'll include the review of the sites that I visited and the other sites that, throughout northeast Wisconsin that I've contacted. And then I'll identify the criteria that's been developed by the National Business Incubation Association and that I use as a standard for most of the communities that I work with, that I identify key points in resources and services that are critical to emerging businesses. And I'll give you an analysis of where I feel that Liberty Grove stands on those criteria points. And then I will give you an estimate on general equipment, and it's a general list that's primarily used, very, very basic equipment, but that is a standard for most of the small rural-type incubators. And finally, I'll do recommended for the next steps. Now, I'm not going to do a full fiscal analysis of this at this point because it would really require for a capital budget to have selected a site and to have some architectural review of it and to have a little bit more information than I've been able to glean in this first phase of this. The appendix will include the survey and the summary. It'll include the review of the sites, it'll include the summary of the kitchens, and then the possible inventory of sites. On the second page of this, we will be doing meet, greet, and eat with next on the 24th from 4 to 7:30 right here. And we'll have, I'll have the video set up with the kitchens that I visited. We'll have a couple of the Door County processors. Joanne will be there. And we've invited some of those processors from Door County who were part of an incubator but have now graduated. Because again, that's the purpose of this, is to graduate them out into storefronts or to their own locations. And so I think it would be a good opportunity to have some discussion with them. And then we'll have some of the foods that have been produced. I'll also have a sample of probably our biggest client that we have down in Algoma right now is Kim Jensen from Egg Harbor. And she has started a business called Door County Pantry. She owns Villaggio's, Mojerosa's, Village Cafe, and Pink Bakery. And she's developed a product line that she has started distributing, and she's incorporating other Door County food products that are processed and developed by Door County processors in that line. And I'll have a sample of her packaging and a sample of her products, and to let you take a look at what can emerge. She started 7 years ago with a marinara sauce, and now she has 34 products that we are processing for her in Algoma, which means I just hired 8 people to do that. So we now have increased our staff dramatically. And so what I'd like to do is to invite you as a board and your selected committees to tour the Farm Market Kitchen, so you can see firsthand what's going on and what it looks like and how small it really is. And also, I could arrange to have you at the same time visit the NWTC Campus Kitchen, if you're interested in doing that. And I selected 2 dates, and I would be available both of those days. So if some wanted to come one day, that would be fine. If some wanted to come another day, that would be fine.
Where is this place again?
In Algoma?
Oh, go clear to Algoma.
Mm-hmm. It's an hour from here. And that's where they've been traveling. And I can look like at Chuck Sully when he was from Sister Bay, and he's been working out of the Farm Market Kitchen for 8 years now. But he eventually bought a house in Algoma and lived in Algoma for a while because he just was, after baking for 12 hours, he didn't really like to make the ride home. So, and he's still working in Algoma. And that is located right in the Marina District.
Right, in what district?
In the Marina District, so the lighthouse is right out my back door there and at that site. And that project is sustained by custom packing, by clients, and by culinary tourism. And by corporate support. We haven't received or applied for many state or federal grants in the last 6 years. So it's been a number of years.
So the Kewaunee County and City of Algoma are not involved?
They did initially, yes. They both did. And that was when we were applying, we had, it was the Department of Revenue at that time, and we did receive state funding from the Department of Revenue. We have received some federal dollars. And when we were doing that, they were partnered with us and provided some level of financial support. And then we were able to run some of the funding through their fiscal umbrella.
I think that's the clue, the fiscal umbrella. So it really wasn't their money, it was money that they could obtain. because
Well, they
were-
did allocate some funding direct from their budgets, yes.
Do you have any idea how much?
I'd have to go back in and look. I think the county, because we really just used it to leverage some initial grants, I'd have to look. But in the city, somewhere around 20,000, somewhere in that range. But I can't tell you the county number. That was 15 years ago. It's kind of
So both the city and the county were involved in the beginning?
initially. And it's been run by a nonprofit the entire remaining 13 years, or actually 15 years, because 2 years of it, we were functioning without an actual facility. We were providing technical support and services until we were able to rehab the building, which was donated by a private individual. Questions? So
Well, I know Ann Miller, obviously, and I know Mrs. Penny, and I've known them for years, I guess, and I like what they do. And I question, though, how should Liberty Grove be involved in this? Why should Liberty Grove be involved in this?
Well, I think because Liberty Grove was looking at a way to develop some sort of an economic niche, and to find something that would fit into this community without changing this community. And it's already a very strong culinary-based center. I've even, when the clearing came up initially, I have gotten a call from a number of the people that work there and that are instructors. I haven't had to sit down with the director. But they were very interested in seeing something in Ellison Bay that they could also use as a leverage for the clearing to encourage, because it isn't just art that's done there, it's also, there's that culinary experience too.
The Sequoia just put on a giant building up there. It's food processing, basically. I mean, I've not been into it, but I believe that's what it is, food processing, right?
Yes, it is.
And you mentioned the woman from Egg Harbor that managed to has 34 products now that she distributes, I guess, in the United States or something, I don't know.
Well, she's just starting to, yes.
And these are people who have sort of done it on their own.
No, Kim has actually worked with us, Kim Jensen, that developed the product line. And yes, and I've done it on my own too. But at some point, you have to look at your community and what you can offer to all of your residents, and not just those that have the ability to do it on their own. And sometimes being able to give that person that initial assist, if you're looking at economic development, that's a key component of it, is providing them with the resources, the technical support, and the services that they need to build a business. And when you look at what we have for technical support in the food industry, there's not much up here in Door County. I mean, they have to travel to get those programs and that support. And, it may not be a fit for you. You may find that it's not what you want to do. But when you're looking at economic development, you have to find a way to leverage what resources you have. And that's when I look at those criteria points in my report, there are some things that you are very strong about, have strong resources, and some that you're going to be very dependent on partners to provide. And those partners would include those individual organizations and institutional support services that I've been connecting with.
One concern I have is if you're traveling through Sturgeon Bay and just to the south of the new bridge, there's the thing that sells the countertops there, the granite and stuff like that. That's supposed to be an incubator business. Well, they've been there for like years and years and years, and so I'm afraid an incubator can fall into a trap where it becomes
I think some of them have, can do that. Most incubators do usually have one anchor tenant or two anchor tenants that will be there over the long haul. Somebody asked why a private corporation wouldn't just start one of these facilities. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that you have such a fluctuation of use. You have somebody that's starting out and using a few hours, and by the time they get to the end and they're using a lot of hours, and then all of a sudden you're used to that supporting income that you're getting from them. And so the private incubators that I've been reviewing, it's really difficult for them because their income fluctuates so much because the goal is to graduate. And the little tiny kitchen in Algoma has had over 158 businesses start there in the last 13 years, and most of them are still operating, but they've moved on. They've moved into another facility. Like I used the Wagon Trail restaurant for a year, but I had to go in at 2 in the morning and I had to leave by 5. It just wasn't working.
You go from the bar right to work.
There you go. So, in the one in Sturgeon Bay, Bill's incubator, we work very closely on partnering. He does work with food-related businesses, and he provides a lot of the business support and that end of it. I provide the technical support because we work with businesses that are out in the community too. They are not all using the actual physical kitchen. A lot of them just need that regulatory support that comes from somebody that's experienced in that particular food industry. Any other comments or questions or anything you'd like me to add to my report before I get it done? Nancy?
I have a question. I guess I'm still a little unclear as to what might be expected of the board. Are you looking for tax dollars? Are you looking for support in capturing grant dollars as far as application?
I have looked at a couple of grants. Most of them are requiring a match of some kind, and we had a meeting with Naletta. I'm sorry, her last name's Burr from,
I was, yeah.
right. And at that time, we were looking at trying to find a way to leverage some partner funding for the match, whether it be if NWTC was closing their kitchen, was it possible to have them donate the kitchen to Northern Door and use that as a match for the grant, which would be ideal. And I've been pursuing that opportunity, but I'm not sure, it seems that NWTC might have some other plans. And that's why I said I really strongly feel when I contacted Sam and Bill this week that we really need to encourage NWTC to keep that either that facility in Door County or keep that equipment in Door County. Because it can be used as a significant leverage against that. And usually when I look at other grant opportunities, I usually try to find a supporting corporation to assist with that. And I indicated that, the Larson family from Green Bay contributed to the Farm Market Kitchen for grant matches. Tom and Sharon Lutzy from Waseda have donated for those types of matches.
So, will you be looking for tax dollars from the town of Liberty Grove?
It really depends on what direction the committee decides to go. If they decide to take that on as something that they want to invest their dollars in. Because right now, when I work with the city of Wausau and the city of Superior, those are city-supported or city-county supported projects. And it doesn't have to be. I mean, if the board decides that that's not the direction they want to take, then there could be other options. But I will tell you one thing, that if there is not city and county or town support, it will be very difficult. Because the biggest hurdle I had in communities that support isn't there at some level, it's very, very difficult to get those other
So
tax dollars in.
Would the town be the applicant then on these grants? Or can another group be an applicant?
Another group could be an applicant. But usually, if it's federal dollars, it's going to have to run through a unit of government of some kind.
Dave, you wanted to?
I just wanted to point out something that it's easy to forget in this situation is that Mary Pat is not making proposals to us as an organization. She's here as a consultant to the town, and the original proposal was brought forward by the Economic Development Committee, asking her to make a study. and then present us back with information, we could decide whether we wanted to move on to a next step or not. So while she has a lot of information for us and the experience, it's the board and, well, presumably the Economic Development Committee and the board that'll decide what to do with the information she's providing us.
Any other questions, anybody else?
I think everybody knows where I stand by virtue of the fact that I have been interested in being part of the committee that Dave, Karen, Joanne, and Mary Pat have been involved with, mainly because I see this as a win for the town. We have geotourism and we have culinary tourism. Those two things will, I think, generate economic development or enhance economic development without changing the character of the town. That's what we have to offer. I've heard many times, and Nancy said it very wisely, we're not downtown Sister Bay or Fish Creek, but we have other things that we could offer. Insofar as the figures in the survey, though, too, I was heartened to hear that 22 people were interested. And I know that, there are legitimate concerns about the scope of the mailing that went out. And I know that was limited, if I'm correct, that was limited by finances. We only had so many stamps to put on so many envelopes. And so it didn't go to as widely a distributed population as it could have. But wouldn't that suggest, Mary Pat, that if it were even more widely distributed, that 22 would probably go up
I was going to,
logically?
yes, I can respond to that. Usually when I do the survey, I try to keep it as centered as I can to the hub of whatever group I'm working with, and not reach too far out, because if there isn't enough significant interest in the immediate area, yeah, you can pull those businesses in, believe me, you can, because at Algoma, they come from all over the place. They'll come from, 300 miles away. But that isn't what you were asking. You were asking me to find what would bring economic opportunity for Northern Door, and in particular, the town of Liberty Grove. And so if there wasn't enough interest and support here, I can guarantee you, if I had reached out to Egg Harbor and beyond, that there would have been a much stronger response, because, just the people that are using the kitchen in other locations are coming from those communities too. And I think you're right in that analysis, or projected analysis, that the response probably would have been even greater. When we did the survey for Sister Bay, I'm trying to think, was that 4 or 5 years ago? They used the Gibraltar School District as their parameters for that. And there was a greater response, and it was mostly from the Egg Harbor, Fish Creek, those areas. There was still response from up here, but the greater numbers were coming from that southern region. That doesn't mean that they won't come this way if there's an opportunity, because for most of them, any of them that don't have to drive across the bridge, they're really happy to stay right where they are. And of course, their goal is to get back. If you asked any of them what they'd want what I would want. I would want to have a facility on my own property, but it doesn't really make sense for me to put that much money in at this point. I'm still working, I'm still trying to retain our orchard as a family orchard. We're 5th generation at this point on that property. And we'd like to see it retain its character, and we'd like to see it be a family-owned business and not become a giant business. Because certainly if I had put my energy into growing my own business, it would be larger than it is. But I'd prefer to do what I'm doing and help other entrepreneurs.
And one more question, Mary Pat, I didn't catch, you mentioned that there was Representative Darcy is here from Door North. I didn't hear, or maybe I missed what you said about what the position might be of Door North on this
Well, I believe
concept?
it's been pretty positive, and last night, one of the people that was here was one of the new board members. I'm trying to. Sophie. Sophie was here, and she was very excited about this opportunity and seemed to indicate that she would do what she could working with that group, because others in that group have also expressed interest. I know I've gotten even a call from Janice Thomas, who said, we just need to sit down and talk. We need to get something in downtown Allison Bay. And she has a business there. You know, she's doing a great job with what she's doing. So I don't know if she's a member of your organization or not. But I have been hearing from other businesses, and usually some of the strongest protests will come from existing restaurants. And yet, most of the things I'm hearing are, well, this would be a great opportunity for me to showcase. If we did culinary events, I could go over and do. So the creativity of the mindset in Door County is different than the creativity of the mindset in Kewaunee County. They're used to doing 2 or 3 different things, and most of the responses I'm getting, they didn't necessarily respond to the survey. So I'm kind of making those notes as I go. And I do have extra copies of the survey here tonight if somebody didn't get one and would still like to fill one out. Dave's been adding them as they come in. Any other comments or questions?
How about the tour dates?
I won't be here, but I'm touring tomorrow. I'm meeting with Cheryl Tillman
Okay.
from NWTC. I'm talking with her.
Well, if you can't make it on the 2 days that I've indicated, you're welcome at any time. So you have an open invitation. Because I do think it would be good for you
It's
to
a-
see what
it's a
it
Monday
looks
or a
like.
Thursday.
There's a Packer game that night, too.
Oh. I forget to check that schedule.
I got them on the calendar.
So it kind of looks like the 11th.
Oh, it's the Packer game on the Monday? The
I
8th?
don't know.
The 8th.
Oh, it is. Wow.
At Atlanta, 7:30.
Amazing,
Fine with
the
me.
world revolves around the
It
Packers.
sure does.
Monday on the 24th, you're going to have
That Thursday's fine with
slide
me.
or something here that shows what the other kitchens
Yes.
look like?
Mhm. We'll have, it's a video, it's a link to you
Oh.
can see it online, actually. And there's a link, and you can pull up every kitchen. There's a map of the other kitchens in the state. And all of those I have consulted with. And it's just part of my job.
I would internally emerge if I didn't say something on this. I think it's a great idea, and it has potential to help the economy, and as Lou mentioned, geotourism and culinary tourism both seem to be on the uptick, if you will. However, and this is why I'm so focused on tax dollars. We just went through a tax levy override to try and repair our roads. And with the geotourism interest, the Niagara Escarpment Group, we decided early on to go through the pain of making our own 501c because we did not want to burden the taxpayers with it. And I can tell you, from what I've heard in the community, there are people that think it's a great idea, but there's a lot of opposition to putting any kind of tax money into it. And by surveying people in Sister Bay and Egg Harbor and beyond, that's a wonderful idea, but then they should be pulled into the conversation. Because if this is something that any tax dollars are going to be coming from Liberty Grove, then those people should also be part of the conversation and part of the ante-in, if you will. I will be meeting tomorrow. I would not be able to make the December one. Thank goodness, I'll be in Florida visiting my daughter. But I am going down to NWTC tomorrow to talk about what is the long-term viability, or do they have plans to leave? You know, I try and get some answers there. Also, maybe I just live in a vacuum, but I didn't even know it was there, and I wonder how many other people don't either, and if maybe some better marketing could help people to know that that facility is there and is basically already paid for with our tax dollars. And to also ask what could be offered through NWTC that might be able to help our citizens with what you're talking about. And how can we maybe look at some problem solving? I understand there may have been some problems with staffing and hours that people could get in there. I just think there needs to be a lot more conversation on this with a lot more players to get to where we want to go, the best way to get there.
Okay, anybody else?
Well, I got to somewhat mirror what Nancy said. I've heard a lot of opposition to spending any kind of tax dollars on this project.
Anybody else? Let's see who can make it on, what, the 11th, because the 8th is out. All right, and we'll let you know then.
Okay,
That work, and let David know?
thank you.
So you're touring both facilities on those days?
That would be the,
That would be most, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So I just have to, and we can arrange that. We can meet at one and then travel to the other one.
sure,
and
okay.
Whichever direction you want to go. So, thank
Any
you.
other
And if
questions
there's
anybody
anything
has?
else that
Yeah,
you'd
Frank.
like,
Will we have invitations to people that have had a positive response to the questionnaire, so that they could come on when we have our meeting here on the 24th?
yes, in fact, I've been contacting a number of them, but we have, it doesn't show on your survey document, I don't think, but we have a number of the email addresses.
Good.
And so they'll be contacted, and then I did send a notice out to the Pulse and Roger Utenheimer and the
Good.
other media.
You have to promote these things,
Pardon?
you have to promote things to
Oh, yeah.
the people that are interested to get them here.
Well, we will send it out to everybody, whether they were for or against, or just curious to find out.
Sure, right.
Good. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, going on to number 9. Consider employing engineer to develop specifications for Ellison Bay Harbor repair.
Our insurance company has asked that we get a plan drawn up for repairing the harbor, so we can submit that to them with estimated costs for that, so they can talk to the insurance company of either Mr. Cole or Bayview to decide what's gonna happen there. Steve Parent is a structural engineer. When Mr. Shabika was here, he did his investigations, and in talking to him at the, after he was done and before he submitted his report, he said that he is not a structural engineer, so it'd be good to get somebody in there who knows structural engineering and get something worked up. So he did have suggestions up to a certain point, but exactly how to do everything in there, then he stopped and suggested a structural type engineer.
So in addition to the $8,000, he wants to be more from a subsequent engineer?
What's that?
You've got the proposal from
Right.
Baldwin? Yeah.
That's $8,000. $7,950.
Right. Yep.
In addition, we need to have another engineer?
No,
No, okay.
That'd be it.
no, Shabika is not a structural engineer. That's why he was suggesting to get somebody in there.
So the problem ain't gonna go away, boys and girls.
That's right, we have to do it.
So I make a motion, we engage Bodwin Incorporated to get the ball rolling for us.
Is there a second?
Well, let's find out where the money's coming from after that now.
Yeah, that was my next question. Where are we gonna find the funds?
We have money in the new budget next year for engineering.
That's true.
So it's a line item in there. A couple of times, actually, one for Raleigh's Bay and then one for general work.
Can't remember how much was that number. It's quite a bit, actually.
I believe it was 10,000 for the general. without looking at it.
I think you're right now.
I apologize if I missed something when I stepped out, but what bearing would the potential lawsuit or disagreement we have about the cause of the damage to begin with have on this? Would it be something that would be reimbursed if we were?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be my assumption.
And I would think Mr. Shabika's fee would be in on that too.
Yeah,
Okay.
Did somebody second that motion?
Frank.
Frank did.
sorry. Yeah. And-
Is this
Frank?
just for the damaged end of the parking lot? This is not for replacing the
Right,
rotted out section around the sewer
Correct.
yeah,
waterfall?
that has nothing to
That's
do with the
nothing to do
dredging.
with this,
Yeah.
okay, good.
Any other questions, discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. And I believe we know where the funds are coming from then. Okay, consider movement of funds from capital account to expense accounts.
Not ready for this yet. Can we do it next month?
Okay. Consider resolution for placement of urns on burial sites. And that would be,
Actually, we need to amend the ordinance,
yeah, I was gonna say,
cemetery ordinance.
and that would be ordinance,
I don't have the number with me.
I think it's 4-14.
okay, you should have a copy of that. All right, it's up on the board, so. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 4-14,
I'll second that.
seconded by Gaz. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mulligan,
Why don't you rotate the thing? I'm always asked first.
what's that?
Why don't you rotate the vote? I'm always asked first.
Bring it here.
Okay, Studebaker. Sorry, Hugh. Lowry,
Yes.
Cavazos,
Yes.
Goss,
Aye.
Workert,
Aye.
and Mr. Mulligan.
Yes,
Okay,
Carries 4-0,
5-0.
5-0.
5-0. Hugh, you threw me all off on that one.
Consider resolution for section 125 health plan. We don't have a copy of that.
It wasn't in your packet?
Yeah, I've got a-
You have it?
yeah,
Oh, it's on the back. Wait a minute.
Oh.
No,
no, I just printed it off from our Zoom.
I didn't get it. You got it here.
Did you get one, Hugh?
No, I don't have one.
Okay. We do it next time, or do we need it by right away?
We need it pretty soon.
Okay.
We can do it. Frank, have you got a copy of it?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'll look at it.
He's got his. All right, you want to do a quick explanation?
Can share
This
that.
is so that you are required now to pass a resolution in order for some funds to come off pre-taxed. That's now required by law, and there's a company that actually has to track your number of employees to make sure that you are offering benefits correctly. This is part of the package that you have to do. It's not just us, it's anybody with a premium things that come off pre-tax.
So it's something we really don't have a choice of doing.
Did you all see this here?
Okay, let me go ahead and read this. The undersigned secretary or principal of the town of Liberty Grove, the employer, hereby certifies that the following resolutions were duly adopted by the board of directors of the employer on January 1st, 2015. And such resolutions have not been modified or rescinded as of the date hereof. Resolved that the form of amended Section 125 cafeteria plan effective January 1, 2015, presented to this meeting is hereby approved and adopted, and that the proper officers of the employer are hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver the administrator of the plan one or more counterparts of the plan. Resolved that the administrator shall be instructed to take such actions that are deemed necessary and proper in order to implement the amended plan, and to set up adequate accounting and administrative procedures to provide benefits under the plan. Resolved that the proper officers of the employer shall act as soon as possible to notify employees of the employer of the adoption of the amended plan by delivering to each employee a copy of the summary description of the plan in the form of the summary plan description presented to this meeting, which form is hereby approved. The undersigned further certifies that true copies of the adoption plan agreement, plan document, and summary plan description approved and adopted in the foregoing resolutions are attached herewith.
Doesn't tell you anything.
Doesn't say anything, and there are no attachments, and there should be three.
I'm so glad to hear both of you say that, because I read that a couple of times and went, huh?
Is it,
The attachments are the guys have to sign when they receive the documents from this plan. So if you don't wanna sign it until you see all their signatures on that, that's fine.
That's not the way I read it. We're approving the plan.
Yeah.
Doesn't say that the forms have to be completed, Janet. They said we gotta have the forms.
We have them.
Because we certified that the true copies of the adoption agreement, plan document, and the summary plan description approved and adopted are attached herewith. We can't sign this until we have the attachments.
It does say that.
Next month after I have the guys sign it.
Yeah, I think it's probably wise to have them sign. What if one does not sign?
They will.
What-
this is. for
But that's why we
pre-tax
need,
On certain,
On their health
on
insurance.
health insurance,
And
some
on-
prescriptions.
On their health insurance and on the, no, it's just health insurance right now.
That's all?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty standard.
yeah. Okay, we'll have it at the next meeting. All right, next on the agenda is the dump truck, better known as the patrol truck, and the pickup.
We've been working on this for a couple of months now in order to get numbers ready for the budget. It does take some time to go through all the specifications of ordering, especially the Mack truck. We have, final issue was 21 pages worth of items on the truck to make sure everything is correct. The numbers for the pickup trucks are as shown there. The Ford was selected as, other than having a more attractive price, cheaper price, the horsepower and the torque of the engine is much higher than the GM product. And we have two of those here now which are performing very well. So that would be the bottom line number of the 38,627. The chassis for the Mack there is 129,992. Monroe supplies the plows, wing, box, hydraulics, and the hitch of 66,537. adding the pickup onto that gives a total number of 235,156, and our budget numbers as shown there, it comes in under the budget that was passed. The budget process determined that the funds for the patrol truck and equipment would come from the capital accounts, and the funds for the pickup truck were in the budget as formulated and adopted last night, or Monday night.
For the record, Bud, can we be comfortable, just for the record, that these are the best prices that you could have gotten for the various, I think it's commendable to go to a local like Jim Olson, but just for the record.
Well, I guess what you do when you're picking out a certain product is you go where your service is going to be available for you. Otherwise, we'd be going in there, and a lot of times the dealer will look at you a little sideways when you bring something in that you bought somewhere else. Not that it can't be done. The Green Bay Truck Sales is the dealer for the area, and the salesman actually lives in Upper Michigan somewhere, up in, we're just getting snowed in now probably. So, and he's got the entire state, I believe, for municipal purchases. So if there is any municipal purchasing to be done, he would do it. Monroe, there is another vendor in, probably more than one other vendor, but we've stuck with the Monroe because we have uniform products here now, interchangeable hitches and pins and cables for the wings, so we can keep that on hand, and it's going to be a standard type of replacement, repair for everything that we have. Otherwise, we'd be stocking different kinds of materials at probably a more cost.
Thank you.
I can't remember if we did that in the trucks as well, but I know that all the sheriff's patrol cars are bought through the dealers in Milwaukee because they provided the better prices. There's certain dealers that are set up by the state to service them, so I can tell you that the county doesn't buy locally. It'd like to, but it doesn't, because the prices are better out of town. On the pickup truck, there's 11,600 on the Ford of options. What are those options? That's 32% of the selling price.
Options, 6.7 diesel engine, liter diesel engine, 6-speed automatic transmission, LT 245 BSW AT 17 tires, 3.55 electronic locking axle, power equipment group, electronic shift on the fly 4x4, engine block heater, snowplow package, spare tire and wheel, built-in brake controller, roof clearance lights, upfitter switches, daytime running lights, XL appearance package. That's it.
So those come in packages or something?
Correct.
So like engine block heater, if the truck's sticking in a heated garage,
That's a no charge option. That's a diesel engine, so that's going to be in there regardless.
okay. We're going so fast I couldn't write them down. Diesel engine, 6-speed transmission, tires, special tires, locking axle, engine block heater, spare tire, what else was it?
Snowplow package,
That's down below, isn't it? That's not the 11,600,
that's the actual plow itself.
no.
The plow package would be your beefed up springs and your transmission
okay.
cooler. Brake controller. Roof clearance lights, switches, daytime running lights, and the appearance package,
What's the appearance package?
$945.
What is it?
That's your better seating, your more durable seating. I'm not sure exactly what the rest of it is.
Does this include the flashing caution lights that they should have when they're operating under certain circumstances?
There'll be some extra stuff that the crew will put in. We'll be putting in airbags to accentuate the suspension system, and a light bar around the back. They're estimating upfitting it at no more than $2,000.
Did you look into buying these from the state funds or how, whatever that thing is that the state has?
No.
Any other questions?
Can you
The,
buy these trucks used, like the big guys now?
Pardon?
The big guys, can you buy those used?
You can, but you're gonna pay more for them. You don't get the government discounts on a used vehicle. So you pay just as much for a used truck as you would for a brand-new one. We found that out in the past.
So does the government discount involve this price somewhere?
Sure. Yeah. They're both government pricing.
Any other questions?
What sort of a warranty do we have on this stuff?
The Mack is a 5-year, 250,000-mile warranty, and the pickup is, I believe, 3 years, 36,000.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the purchase of the Ford pickup truck and then the truck sale chassis, the way it's depicted in the handout here.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, what was your motion to buy a truck, the pickup truck?
The Ford, as opposed to the Chevrolet. Assuming we do it before November 30th and get that $2,500 off.
They've got, yeah, they need a PO by December 1st.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to see the specifications that you read out to us be as part of the minutes or the record of the purchase, somewhere in the file, so we've all got it.
Sure, that makes sense.
Lou, did you include, are you including the plows and wing and everything in your motion?
Yeah, everything that's
Yeah.
listed underneath there.
Okay.
All in favor indicate by saying,
And let me check. I
Who-
pretty much
who's-
understand this,
I
but
did,
Who seconded you?
I did. Go ahead.
were you gonna make a motion? No, you're gonna second.
I seconded it already.
Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Just gonna say that diesel fuel is $4 a gallon and gas is $3 right now.
Okay,
I'd just like to comment that your diesel engine's gonna have a much longer life,
Yeah,
and, fuel prices aren't always gonna be what they are now.
okay.
Oh, go ahead.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The chassis was also included in that, the
Yes,
patrol
I
truck,
think
yes.
that's listed. The Ford was listed in that bottom price anyway.
Yeah. Operator licenses? None. Correspondence?
hold it, how about the patrol truck? You wanna talk
That
about-
was in the motion.
I thought it was just,
I didn't realize
The
that. I thought we were
Ford
voting
patrol
on the
truck
truck.
as opposed to the Chevy, and then what was at the bottom there. Which was redundant because the Ford was listed in that underneath this.
I didn't realize we were voting on the patrol truck.
The motion was to authorize purchase of the Ford pickup and the Mack chassis with the Monroe equipment.
Then I'd like to change my mind to, or my vote to no. Let the records reflect that.
Well, technically, you can't. We'd have to have a motion to rescind.
To
We haven't even
reconsider.
talked
Or
about the patrol
reconsider.
truck.
second. Okay, let's go back now. There is nothing on the floor here.
Need a vote on that motion.
Yep. All in favor of the motion to reconsider? Indicate by
Aye.
saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
That's 5-0.
Yep. Lou?
So tell us
Why'd you
about
make
the,
separate motions and it'll be easier?
I'll make a motion that we authorize the purchase of the Ford pickup truck.
I'll second. Discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
That's 5-0.
Yes.
so that's like a Ford 200 or 300, or what's, does that have a, it's not an F-150, I'll guarantee you.
Right there. Probably at 350.
F-350 4x4.
Thank you.
Goal.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the purchase of the Green Bay truck sales chassis with the accompanying package of plows, wing box, hydraulics, and hitch. For a
Second.
total of $196,529.
I'll second. Discussion.
I have a general question. And I asked this to Janet, and she gave me kind of an answer, but has the town actually gone out and figured out what all this trucking equipment stuff costs us as a group? Are we spending our money wisely here?
I think that we've gone over this several times, if I remember correctly.
I'm satisfied, you,
We know what
that
it
we
costs
went
us.
out and Janet did a very, very thorough analysis of all the county costs and our costs, and the figures came out to our favor to do our own roads. I think this might have been when you were over in Minnesota.
Well, I've not seen anything in written on it that I'm aware of. Could have been.
There was,
Oh, yeah.
gosh,
We
yeah,
have to
yeah.
report.
The county won't even, they won't plow our roads.
Well, county's not the only person around here, you know, like maybe John Fitzgerald or something. Here's what kind of sets me off going down, I'm sorry, Nancy, you have to listen to this. Is the county would have fewer people tending these roads up here than we have. And if it's a real smart idea, I suspect the bug union people down there would consider doing it too, so. I just don't know that we're spending our money totally wisely here and having 3 big trucks plus a snowplow to do our roads. Now, this truck is replacing one truck that's about ready to fall apart, I understand. Is that true?
Yeah.
Is there a trade-in value on that truck?
No, we'll sell it outright.
All right, as most towns do,
Pardon me?
as most towns do.
Mm-hmm.
They sell their equipment outright.
And so where does the money come, or where does that money go back into the budget under,
It'll go back into, I would assume, Public Works,
Public Works?
yeah, because that's where it's coming out of.
Or capital reserve.
Or capital reserve, I'm sorry, it should be there, yeah. Well, I think I think the experience of the town of Gibraltar, and I'll use them as an example. There are some roads in the town of Gibraltar that aren't plowed for 2 days, and they are using the county. Because the county takes care of, obviously, of the state highways first, county roads second, and then they take care of the towns that they are servicing. I think that would, for our residents in the town of Liberty Grove, that'd be a terrible disservice.
Well, North Bay is often that way.
In the town of Bailey's Harbor or in the town of Liberty Grove?
Town of Liberty Grove.
You mean our boys don't get out there for 2 days?
Not right away.
2 days?
If you only knew what you're talking about.
1 day?
Well,
If you only knew how many times our guys go out and do work before the county guys even get out there.
Okay.
Yeah, and we
And we
do
could-
end up, on, well, fortunately, they do plow the Ellison Bay Hill long before the county gets there on serious snowstorms, just to get to our people.
And we could get called to do trees, signs, you name it, because they're south.
Yeah,
They don't want to send anybody out.
Okay,
They had people on furlough last year. They weren't plowing on the weekends or whenever it was. Our guys are out plowing, they're plowing where the county should have plowed. If you want to live that way, good luck.
Well, they also said, the county said, they don't have the equipment. And even if they had the equipment, they don't have the place to store the extra equipment that it would take to do Liberty Grove. So they wouldn't even think about offering snow plowing to Liberty Grove. There's too many miles of roads.
And I honestly don't think Johnny Fitzgerald could handle Liberty
No,
Grove.
I-
I'm sorry.
I called a couple of the private contractors
They don't wanna
to see
touch
if
it.
they would be willing to take it on and purchase extra equipment.
They won't do it.
They won't do
they
it.
won't do it.
okay.
You know, and I have a completely open mind about, but I've only seen what I've heard just now, and I have no reason to doubt that there really doesn't seem to be a viable alternative. And unless I've seen something that's not conjecture about what can be done, to say, here's an apples-to-apples comparison. And the apples-to-apples comparison I saw was the chart that we sent in our information packet, which I thought was very well put together, very thoroughly researched. Even the depreciation was included, to include that as part of what our cost would be. That's a valid point that you've made in the past, Hugh, but I have nothing to go on.
I'm not complaining about the service, the type of service we get.
Oh, no.
That's not.
No, I'm saying in theory, the idea of having an alternative is always something I think it's incumbent on us to explore every viable alternative. Whether it's local, independent contractors, the county, whoever. But I haven't seen anything that can yet come and say, here's our proposal, let's compare it concretely to what the town is now doing. And until we have something less than speculation, it doesn't seem like we have any alternative right now.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
5-0.
5-0.
5-0. No correspondence? Future meetings?
Operator license?
No,
I think there's something.
there were
in
no
here.
operator licenses, but unfortunately, there is correspondence. Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
The water is safe to drink. We have a letter to our highway chairman, committee chairman, someone on Settlement Road requesting the speed limit be lowered, and after he explained it to her, I don't know what the situation is, if she's satisfied with his explanation, but we'll find out. We paid our initial fee for the Wisconsin Drug Testing Consortium. We have our final revenue sharing payment of $17,387. Minutes from the Sister Bay Liberty Grove Library Commission. That's it.
Okay. Future meetings. I noticed there's a question mark about the December 3rd meeting, town board. I'd like to convene the personnel committee to look over the proposed clerk's position and the qualifications, what we're looking for. And also, I'd like to, following that at the board meeting, I think we need to have a good, serious discussion on what we can possibly do in reference to the Door Bluff High Park.
What time do you want the special meeting, closed meeting?
Is this the third?
The personnel on the 3rd, the 6th work.
What date?
The regular meeting on the 3rd, December,
Okay, 6 o'clock?
yeah. I mean, there is a, what am I, the word I'm searching for? Job description. There is a job description already
From last
from
time.
before.
Yeah.
But I think we need to review it and see how we go about this.
It's gonna be a busy day, that's it.
Mhm.
City parks and property, 9:30, you're at 10, 6, 7.
6
Okay.
o'clock? 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock,
And then a town board meeting at 7.
a town board meeting at 7. I think we probably have enough to do this. Anything else on those meetings?
Plan Commission on December 10th.
I won't be here.
Oh, that's right, we call that,
Yep.
next one is next, first one's next year.
So we probably won't be meeting in December.
Yeah. Town Board on the 17th. First day to circulate nomination papers is Monday, December 1st for Town Board. And the deadline for submitting them is
January
January
6th, right?
No, 26th
I
of
believe so.
December, right?
No,
January
that's the
6th.
deadline for non-candidacy.
Okay.
Okay?
What did he say, January 6th? December
yeah.
6th.
January 6th.
All right, before we adjourn, rule number 533, from none other than Pearl Bailey. And I don't know whether she's going home, but there is a way to look at the past. Don't hide from it. It will not catch you if you don't repeat it. I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.